Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 9 of season 1 of Avengers Assemble called Depth Charge. And overall, I thought this was it's an okay episode, but it feels more like an episode that's held together more by action than plot. Now the villain this time around is Atuma. He's a character that I haven't really seen very much of, but there's just something about the guy that I sort of like. Mostly in the comics, he's a rival to Namor the Submariner, who, if I remember right, is technically an Avenger. But he's mixed it up with the Avengers at least once. I know he sided with Kang the one time when Kang actually managed to succeed in conquering the world, more or less, from Kurt Busiek's run on Avengers. But geez, if I can remember the name of that storyline. Well, anyway, from what I've seen, Atuma's never been really portrayed as a terribly not really the most competent of villains. He's one of those guys that he just kind of keeps coming and coming and trying again, no matter how many times he fails. And that's really about all it has going for him. This time around, he's presented as a much more formidable character. I mean, he's able to basically even laugh in the Hulk's face. So that's certainly something I really would never expect to see of the character in the comics, but I'll freely admit I'm not a huge expert or anything on the character. I'm just telling you my impressions of the character from what small bit I've read of him. Now there were some nice points in this episode. I certainly did get the kick out of hearing Hulk referred to as a rage monster. Of course, this is lifting a line from the Avengers movie, and of course, just flat out referring to him as the Incredible Hulk is, of course, like the biggest nod to the comics you could ever possibly do with the Hulk, short of perhaps playing the walking away music from the 80s Incredible Hulk TV show, which I have to say is still quite possibly some of the saddest music I have ever heard in my life. It was briefly heard, I believe, in the Eric Bana Hulk movie, but anyway, moving on. Oh yes, one thing. Speaking of Atuma, I forgot to mention. I love there was just one line where he goes, "Victory is mine." Now I gotta ask, guys, am I the only one who immediately just thought of Stewie from Family Guy, who, ironically enough, on Family Guy has mentioned the sad music from the Incredible Hulk? And of course, what really I think has to be said for this episode, and I think is its strongest point, is the visuals and the action. I mean, this fight with the Atlanteans in the middle of New York, where there's these constantly flooding streets. There's this huge wall of water, tidal wave. I mean, it's all really, really great visuals. I kept watching this and thinking, like, man, I know that if they were ever to do something like this in live action, it would probably cost something like the gross national product of a small South American country, but man, how absolutely awesome would it be? And speaking of absolutely awesome, that's kind of how I feel about just flat out seeing the Hulk acting as Atlas. And I don't mean that book that's full of maps at the library. I mean the actual Titan from Greek mythology, the fellow whose punishment or whatever it was to literally hold up the world or the sky, depending on which translation of the story you're reading. But of course, comics have always long drawn from classical mythology, and it's certainly it's always certainly pretty fun to see when the comics really let those things shine. And this is a perfect example of that. Another one that I'm reminded of is an issue of Justice League where Superman literally fights a rogue angel. And the Flash momentarily is just completely and utterly flabbergasted. He just stops and stands there and says, he's literally wrestling an angel. Which, of course, is a reference to something from the Bible. So, yeah, I really love when superhero stories do those big... I really hate to use the term cinematic because it's just so overdone and just so overblown. What's a good word? Well, yeah, actually, mythical. Those things that make you feel like you are seeing something out of, the classical myths of old brought quote unquote to life. Because in many ways, the superhero stories are very similar to classical mythology. And people have even said these are just simply modern versions of stories that people used to tell about, well, Thor and Hercules, the various other deities. And when they do these really big, flashy things like that, I have to say, I really do get a big kick out of it. But at the end of the day, like I said, this episode really felt, it was more sizzle than steak. Let's put it this way. It's certainly a pretty fun episode to watch, but I just really wasn't feeling it there in terms of the character moments. Although I do think that they were at least trying to do something with the Hulk, but it just didn't really gel for me. And that's all I got for you guys this time around. I might be slightly delayed in getting the next review for this out. I'm actually, when it comes out, I'm going to be just getting back from a vacation. You know how it is when you get back from vacation, you always need some time to sort of get things back in order. And yeah, so I'll try and get it out for you as soon as I can from when I get back, but sadly, real life commitments are going to have to come first. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for you this time around. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.